Hey guys, it's Kip here from KDC Marketing, and in today's video I want to show you how you can use Wix CMS presets to get a head start on using Wix CMS if it's something that is new to you. So I'm inside of Wix Studio right here, and if you don't know what Wix CMS is, it stands for Content Management System. And so it's a way for you to manage your content more efficiently if you have a specific type of content. And it also allows you to display that content dynamically across your website. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of this today and show you how you can use it to streamline your content management across your website. So this right here is our team members page, and this is an example of a content management system, a dynamic page. So this is a dynamic list page, and so I have my team members, and if I click on one of these tiles, it's going to link me into the specific profile of this team member, and if I click here, it's going to take me back to this section. Same with one of these employees here. I'm going to click here and go back. So over here on the left hand side we have the CMS button, so you'll find it over here on the left hand side, and if you don't have it turned on, just turn it on and then you'll see this screen that I'm looking at. And so you have CMS right here, and all that I did was add a preset. So these presets are what I want to talk about in particular today, because these are the best way to start learning Wix CMS, because you can kind of start with something that's already set up and figure out kind of how it works and get used to it, and then you can grow from there and kind of learn more and see how you could further using CMS. So they have a team one, they have a projects one, they have a portfolio one, and a news one, and then you have a custom one. And you can click into each of these and get more info about what you're going to get when you set it up. And if you click on the custom one, you can customize this. You can change the name, which is important for the URL structure, and then you can select what you want, dynamic list page or dynamic item page, and then you would just click add to site. So that's what I did, is I added this team members preset here. And that's what you're looking at right here. And I'm going to show you how this works and give you one kind of bonus use case that you can use to kind of further extend this preset. So over here, I have my collections inside of my CMS, and then I have my team. So this is the data set. So you have to think of your collections like data sets, and inside of your data set, you have items. So each one of these lines, each one of these rows is a data set item. And so these are items inside of my data set. And so if I want to add another one, I would just come down here and add item and then fill out these fields. And these work like a table, so like a spreadsheet. So I can just copy and paste these. And for this one, since it's just sample data, I'm going to copy and paste most of it. Then I can pick an image here. So I'm just going to go and add image, go to media from Wix, and go to profile, just something really quick and easy. So go here, add this image, and then I can copy these remaining fields here. So one thing you do have to look out for sometimes is this is the same URL. So this actually should be full name 7. So I'm going to edit this real quick. This is a little more technical, but this just means that it'll actually go to the specific page. It has its own specific URL here, and then that's for the dynamic item page. So I'm going to change this to 7.2 so that it's consistent. I typed the wrong number. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and show you what just happened on the front end now that we added that item on the back end. As I preview this, I'm going to go down, and sure enough, we're going to see full name 7 here. And if I click in, it's going to go to their profile. Hopefully I may try this and see if it'll update. Sometimes it takes a second for the link to update. So now it's updated. And so this is the main benefit of dynamic content. I didn't have to go in and design this page. I didn't have to go in and duplicate this page. I didn't have to do anything to this page because it was already set up in a way that I just had to add the data on the back end, the content on the back end, and the design was already taken care of. Same with my list page here. This is a repeater inside of Wix Studio. So I didn't have to do any of this. It just added this content dynamically. And once you kind of understand how this works, it gets really exciting because there's so many ways you can use this. You can use it to manage team members like we're showing right here. You can use it to manage reviews. You can use it to manage lists and listings. You can use it to manage articles. There are so many ways you can use this, so many creative ways, and it just opens so many doors and opportunities for you to better manage your websites. So I'm going to show you a couple other things now that we've talked about some of the basics and some other things to consider as you're starting with Wix CMS. So over here under pages, if I open up my site pages, you'll notice I have a main page section, main pages, and I have dynamic. So I've kind of said this before, but this is dynamic content. You have two types of content for Wix Studio websites. You have static content and you have dynamic content. So an example of static content is, let's say I wanted to create another version of this home page. Well, if I want to do that, I have to go in here and I have to duplicate this page, and then I could go in and edit each of the different fields in, or different pieces of content inside of that page. With a dynamic page like this one, when I add it on the back end, it just gets added dynamically. Same with this item page here. All these pages get added and updated dynamically. So if I go in and change the name on this one, it's going to change on the front end. So I'll go do that right now. So this one is full name 04. Let's just change this to John Doe. Then we'll come back here and we're going to see that this is updated to John Doe here, but it also updated to John Doe here on my list page, John Doe. So it's going to update dynamically wherever these fields are connected, wherever my data collection fields are connected on a website, it's going to update. Whereas if I wanted to go in and update a static page, I'd have to actually go in here to the canvas, find a section, find the element, click on this, and then edit it right here and type something different. So hopefully that's kind of helping to see the difference between static content and dynamic content. I'm hoping it'll become more clear as I go on in this video. So over here on the site pages, you have this add new page. So you can add a standard blank page, which is kind of static content, or you can add a dynamic page. So if you add a dynamic page, then you just have to choose your collection. In this case, it'd be the team, because that's the one we're working on is our team members. And then we have list page and item page. These are the two pages we're already using. We also have a blank page, so we could kind of customize the design for that one. And then we have a manage item page. So these are some of the existing page types we have with a dynamic page. And then we can also add dynamic content to static pages. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. But that's the other thing to understand, is that these are actually dynamic pages. So that means some of the things on here are connected to data sources and some are not. So let's go in and look at this. So at the element level, we have this text element. If I pull open my layers panel, I'm looking at this H2 text element, and I have this little connector source. This means this is connected to our CMS, our content management system. And if I pull this open, I can see the data set it's connected to, and I can see the field inside of my data set that it's connected to. So if I were to change this, for example, it's going to change to job title everywhere. If I were to change this to phone number, it's going to change to phone number everywhere. If I was going to change this to website URL, it's going to change that everywhere. So you're choosing which field this specific text element connects to. And so I'm going to go in back to name, and it's going to go back to name here. And then you have some other data settings too. So each of these, I'll show that in a second, but each of these fields, like this one is connected to job title text, and this one is connected to short description text, and this image is connected to the photo image field. So there is some strategy behind which elements you're using. So you can only connect text elements to text fields, and you can only connect image elements to image fields. And so some of that is important to understand. But for most cases, you'll be using text, images, and links, and maybe buttons too. But this is a good time to point that out. So we have our photo here, and you can see the image source is connected to that, but the link, so when you click on the photo, connects you to the team item page, which basically means that it's going to go into this specific profile. So the specific profile of each of these team members, and you can specify how it opens, if it's in a current window or as a new window. So there's kind of the basic form of this, and then there's the really advanced form, and I'm trying to focus on the basic form, but some of these things are really important to understand. So each of these fields are connected to a field in our data set, our collection. This field, however, is not. So just because you have a dynamic page doesn't mean that all the elements on are connected to your data. So like this team member's header is not connected to anything because it doesn't really need to be dynamic. And same with this paragraph, not connected to anything. So some of the things on this page are connected to data. Some of those things aren't. When we go to our item page, pretty much all of these things are connected to data. So if we look at the full name, then we have that connected to the name text. We have the long description. We have the job title. We have the email, and we have the phone number. So these are all connected. This image field is connected to the photo source. So this one is more connected. Then we have a little button down here that's connected back to our team list page. And then this one moves it forward to the next dynamic page. This one moves it back to the previous dynamic page. So this is why I recommend starting with a preset, because all this stuff is going to be set up for you automatically. And you can just go in and customize it and get familiar with how this works. But another important thing to point out is, let's say that I don't like how big this title is. And so I'm going to change this to a heading 4. It's going to change here on this page, but it's going to change on all my other pages. So if we look at John Doe, his is lower, his is now that 4. We look at all of them. So again, when you make one change to a dynamic page, it's going to change across the board and going to save you all that time, so you don't have to go in and change it 7 different times. Now you just have to change it once, and it's going to go across each of those data points. So let me go back to the team list page here, and we'll go into the data settings. So let's go to our connector fields. I'm just trying to get on one that has them. I'm going to go over here to the connections and then click this data settings here. So this is going to open up the data set and show you how it's functioning and how many items and filters. And then you can also view all page data sets here. So this is where you can add more data sets and remove them. So these are important to know where they are. We're not going to really do much with these today, except for the bonus section I'm going to show you in just a minute. So let me show you one more quick thing, and then we'll go into the bonus section. So once you get into here, you can go to more actions and go to collection settings, and you can turn on control item visibility. And so this is a really cool feature, because from here you can manage if the item is visible or not. So let's take John Doe, for example. I don't want him to be on the site anymore. He left the company, so we don't need to show him anymore. So with that one click, I can come in and see that John Doe is gone. So he's not listed here, and there's no item page for him anymore. But let's say that he decided to come back to the company because he regretted leaving, and so we already have him in here, and all of his information is here. We just come back, select him, and go to change status and show, and John Doe is going to show up here in real time. So here he is again. His profile is reinstated automatically. Super easy to manage this content once you get this set up and get it going, and if you do it in the right way. So let me go back here and show you how I did that. I just went into my collection, so team members, and then I came over here to more actions and then collection settings. And then I did control item visibility. So that's one I always recommend you turn on, because that way you can control items if they're visible or hidden right here from your collection dashboard. Okay, so one final thing I'm going to show you here is how to add this and extend this preset to your home page. So I'm going to go to the home page here, and I have a pre-built repeater. So I have this repeater already built just for the sake of this tutorial, so I don't have to go through that. And we're going to start connecting this to our data source. Okay, so I got my repeater here. I'm going to add my data set. So I'm going to add data set here to my repeater, and I'm going to select the team option. I'm going to call this featured team members data set. Click create, and then now this is going to add the data set here to allow me to connect my different sections here to each of these items. So I'm just going to fix this layout real quick because it kind of broke my layout once I added all the items in, and that's looking a little bit better. I'm just going to make sure this is aligned to center here, and then we should be good to go. So I've got my repeater here, and it already added in the number of items that are in my collection. So I just have to go in and start connecting things to it. So I'm going to go to text connected to the name field. It's going to start populating. Then I'm going to go to the paragraph here and connect this to the, let's say, job title. And then it should connect there. And I'm going to change this to view profile. And I'm actually going to make this a smaller heading so that we don't run into this issue of it kind of going on to that next line. Okay, so now I have this, and now I need to set up this image field. So I'm going to go into this connector here and then go to my image. And again, I'm pulling in this data dynamically, so all these are going to pull in. And I just have to do a few other things. So I want to make sure the link connects to the team item. So if they click on that image, it goes to the item. And then if they click on this button, on the click action, I'm going to say, take me to the team item in the current window. So this should be mostly set up now, and then I can go in and test this. So let me go here. I'm going to preview. I'm going to click on full name 2. It goes to full name 2, which is glorious. I'm going to go back to my home page, and then I can test some other things. So now that I have this here on the home page, I've extended this one step further. This all gets updated dynamically as well. I can add a little featured filter in here. So I'm going to go in and add a section, and actually I might save this. This is a bit more of an advanced feature, but I'll add it anyway. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to add a field. So you have all these other fields here. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm just going to go to add a field, and I can have all these fields that I can select from. I'm just going to do a Boolean, so yes or no. I'm going to say featured, and then click save. And then I'm going to go back here and find it in my table. I'm going to bring this over, just click and drag to the very front. And I'm going to say featured. We're going to make sure John Doe is featured and one other one's featured. So all I did was add a new field. I added a field here. I'm trying to see if we can do it from this. We'll just go to here, manage fields, add field, and then this popped up, and then I did the Boolean, yes or no, true or false. And then I'm going to come back here and create a filter. So I'm on my home page still. I have my repeater that I created, and I'm going to add a little filter here. So inside of my data set settings, I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to select that Boolean field, so the featured field. I'm going to say featured is true. So I'm going to select add, and now only my featured employees show up here on the home page. So I've got some, let me shrink this down a little bit. I might want less space here in between these two, just to get this how I want it, something like this. So now I have featured employees on the home page. So I went and extended the existing list page and dynamic page, and using all one data set, right, all one collection here. I have my list page, my item page, and now a featured section here on the home page. So there's so much you can do with Wix CMS, and I hope you're starting to see the power of understanding Wix CMS. And it is a little bit overwhelming when you first start. I'll be honest, it's taken me a while to get familiar with how it works and connecting data sets and creating filters and doing all these things that I'm showing you how to do. But the best place to start is to start with a preset. If you start with one of these presets, you'll learn so much quicker because you'll kind of see how it should function in its final form. And it might even be what you need just to use one of these presets. You might not even have to create your own custom collection and all that kind of stuff. If they have one that's close to what you need in one of these, like the news or portfolio or projects or team, that's great. And if they don't, use the custom one, customize the name to whatever you're going to do, and then you can go in and customize this further. So this is the best starting point that I can think of to get starting with this. And then as you grow in your knowledge of Wix CMS, you can start to do things like extending it to the home page or having it go to other places in the website. But that's the power of this whole thing, is once you get it here in one place, then it's going to serve you in so many places, and you can manage the content from the back end here. So if I take John Doe off again, then he's going to go off on the home page. He's going to go off on all those pages instantaneously. And I only had to do 1 or 2 button clicks. And now he's not here anymore. And he's also not here anymore. Sorry, let me go to team list. And there's no item page that someone could view. So I was able to remove him from 3 places with 1 button click. 3 places with 1 button click. So as you get to understand these things, it's going to change the way you think about website management. And this is probably the most common use case is team members. But like I said, there's so many ways you can use this: testimonials, team members, articles, lists, data sets, any kind of thing that you can think of. And you want to use it in places where the design is really going to be the same across the board, and you have a lot of those different items to manage. Because if there's too much variance, then sometimes it is better to do static pages versus dynamic pages and dynamic content. But for a lot of this stuff, dynamic content is going to work great. So that's what I have for today's video, and I hope you find a lot of value out of Wix CMS. I know that I have, and the more you practice it, the better you will get. So that's what I have for today, and I will see you in the next video.